Hello, everyone. It's been quite some time. I'm sorry I've been away so long, but I'm back and with a brand new To Be Honest. And today, it's a sort of double feature. I'll be talking about Blue Reflection and its sequel, Blue Reflection Second Light. With a sort of repackaged remaster coming out on the 30th of this month, or tomorrow when this video comes out, I felt like it was a good time to go a little in depth and review and compare the two games. And for those who have never played, there will be light spoilers ahead, but nothing major. I'll talk briefly about each game and then compare them afterwards. Now without further ado, let's get on with the To Be Honest. To begin with, let's go over some basics. Blue Reflection was released back in 2017, and Second Light was released 4 years later in 2021, both on Steam and PlayStation. They both feature turn-based combat, themes of friendship, introspection, self-reflection, a little bit of Yuri, there's also dungeon exploration, and an all-female cast. Fun fact about that last point, the first Blue Reflection was not originally conceived with an all-female cast, but because of a really tight budget, they can only afford to make female models. I'll elaborate more on this toward the end of the video, but all I will say for now is that this was a really good decision. In the first game, we play as protagonist Shirai Hinako, a student at Hoshinomiya Girls' High School. She was a ballet dancer and was considered a prodigy for her age. However, she took a semester off due to a serious knee injury she incurred during an international ballet competition, which effectively ended her career. Hinako became a bit walled off afterwards and didn't really have anyone to talk to. On her first day back, she runs into someone who actually knew about her past, someone named Nishida Sanai. The two have a conversation that starts to turn strange, and Sanai sort of goes off the deep end. She starts laughing maniacally and a weird aura emanates from her, leaving Hinako surprised and confused before blacking out. When she wakes up, she found herself teleported in a strange new place, all by herself. This location is later revealed as the Common. If you played Persona, specifically 5, it's similar to Mementos. As she was getting her bearings in this strange new world, a creature spots her and attacks her, blowing her into a river. Hinako, in her brief moment of respite, gets called out by two mysterious voices, who then inform her that she has a ring on her finger, a ring that will help her fight the enemies that attacked her. Once she learns this, she starts to transform into a magical girl to fight. Once that's done, she finds a strange glowing orb which contains Sanai's true feelings and thoughts. After listening to it, she's then transported back to the real world like nothing happened, but the ring was still on her finger. Later during class, after her self-introduction, she finds herself seated between two girls with very familiar voices. These two are Yuzu and Lime, and they will be Hinako's teammates and fellow magical girls. They soon tell Hinako that there's a group of godlike enemies called the Sephiroth, very similar to Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, and they threaten the world, and by defeating all of them, the world would not only be saved, but Hinako would be granted one wish, and that starts the journey of Blue Reflection. For the second game, Blue Reflection Second Light, we step into the shoes of our new protagonist, Hoshisaki Ao, a much more extroverted gal. To me, she's very reminiscent of FemC from Persona 3 Portable. Here, we find ourselves waking up in a familiar-looking high school, but the environment's a little bit different. The school was surrounded by an ocean, with nothing out there except for an island called the Heartscape that you can walk to. Initially, there are 3 other girls there: Kokoro Utsubo, Reina Miyachi, and Yuki Kinjo. No one, excluding Ao, could remember much about their past, Al seems to be the only one who could remember and is later designated as the leader of the group. Initially, they spend day after day just gathering food and supplies in the hardscape, but eventually, they decide to explore further, discovering that the hardscape contained fragments about Kokuro's past, which sets in motion Al's journey to recover everyone's memory and find out what kind of world they were in. With the basics of both games talked about now, let's compare and contrast the two. So first up is combat. Both games are turn-based, but each have a different take on it. The first game uses one a bit more similar to Final Fantasy VII Classic's ATB system. The difference here is that the main team and enemies share one line, and whoever reaches the middle first gets to perform an action. There's also a fun little mechanic where an action can have a knockback effect, ranging from small to large, and this can delay the enemy's next move, allowing more actions for your team. There's also an action that allows you to save up ether points, which can be used to attack multiple times, and allows you to activate a support move from your classmates. Grinding enemies gets us materials, but that's not how we level up in this game. In this one, the first one, in order to put points towards our stats, we have to deepen Hineko's bonds with the classmates she meets. Doing so can sometimes reward you with a growth point, a point that you can put towards your attack, defense, or whatever you want. And sometimes, you get rewarded with a fragment. A fragment is like a Final Fantasy accessory, only you get these from characters and events and whatnot. These can provide helpful boosts in combat. In Second Light, the combat takes a more creative turn. Now there are two separate lines. This time, the main team can store up to a max of 5,000 ether, which can either be used for 5 basic attacks, or a few big attacks, or support moves or whatever you want. The enemy can still be knocked back, but the effect's a bit weaker in this game. You unlock and gain more ether by the actions you perform. For example, a basic attack will gain, let's say, 3 ether symbols. Get enough symbols and you can go up to 2,000 ether. Get more and you can go up to 3,000 and on and on. At ether level 3, your character will transform into her reflector form and become even more powerful. You'll also be able to choose a support character who has her own meter that you can activate whenever it's full. Leveling up in this game is a little bit different as well. This time, grinding enemies will level up your character like Final Fantasy and increase your stats a little bit. However, there are bonus stats to unlock, like increase attack by 3 or using a new move, and you can obtain these by using TP points, which, like growth points, are earned by bonding with other characters. Personally, I prefer Second Light's combat a little bit more. I feel that it allows for more strategy and customization, and it's a little faster, and I just prefer the faster combat. And Second Light just does it so much better than the first game. The next important comparison is characters. Both Hineko and Ao are very different, but very much suit their respective games. Ao starts off much better and stays great, whereas Hineko has a rougher beginning, but shows incredible growth as the game goes on. Both are honestly a solid A+ in my book. The big comparison here, though, is with the side characters. I'll be quite frank, Second Light has a dramatically better cast of side characters than the first game. The first game had way too many characters, and honestly, outside of Akko, Sarasa, Yuzu, and Lime, I barely remember or care about any of the other side cast. They each have different problems, but it all blends into the sort of samey feeling that kept me from caring or wanting to know more about them. Second Light, on the other hand, has less characters, which really benefit the story for each one of them, aside from Kirara and Kokoro. I had a much more enjoyable time learning about each person and their backstories. I actually looked forward to going on the many, many dates each character has. It was honestly rewarding. Also, the first game has light Yuri elements, but in the second, it is much more apparent and automatically makes me like it 60% more. Another huge point in Second Light's favor. Honestly, if you put Yuri in your game, it's automatically going to get big points from me. I love Yuri so much. Anyways, lastly, we'll talk about the overall gameplay, music, and style. I know I'm going a little quick in this video, and I'm sorry for that. I just still trying to get used to the swing of things. So let's see. Right off the bat, gameplay is fairly improved in the Second Light. You can more easily gather material by cutting down grass and flowers or by defeating enemies. Second Light also adds in item crafting and structures. Depending on who you craft with, the items you can make will be much more useful. Whereas structures add bonuses to combat or exploration, or XP gain. The first game, however, does have a really fun minigame on your character's phone called Dark Cave. It's kind of like, what's that thing called? Tamagotchi. It's kind of like Tamagotchi, where you can grow this little monster thing through a series of choices, and it's super fun. Second Light does have a bit more extra in the form of New Game Plus. It is both a great and disappointing experience. Second Light has an extra true end and about 2 extra really short scenes. It is satisfying to see, but to have to replay the entire game again just to see like 3 whole extra minutes of story is ridiculous and disappointing as heck. Also, your level doesn't get carried over. You have to grind your stats back up again, and it was honestly not fun to replay the game a second time just for the couple of scenes that we got. Moving on to music, it's excellent. The first game came up with a lot of great tracks and has this one ethereal-like track so good. I've downloaded it, I saved it on my phone, and I listen to it constantly. It's called Toshitake Hayabusa. And let me just let you hear a little sample of it. I love the song. Here's a little sample of it. That was pretty good, right? I honestly recommend just taking a little bit of time out of your day to listen to the full song. It's super great. And now the second game consists mostly of the same music, but the tracks used work well to give Second Light a more melancholic feel. Lastly, there's the overall style and graphics. Graphics-wise, the first game takes the cake. It's clear the dev team put more money and passion into the animations, the feeling of each location, and the cinematography. In fairness, though, this game really only has 3 main characters in battle, with the rest just being minor cameos during support actions, so they could afford it. Honestly, just walking down a hallway in the first game is a visual stunner. The light bloom, the fixed camera angle, it all really helps to sell the warm skull atmosphere. In the second game, though, due to the number of characters that could be added onto a team, as well as the numerous amount of hardscapes they made, they put a lot less focus into the animations and style and just small details. Attacks and movement can look and feel a little janky, and the locations can just be boring to look at. The school we're in also looks a lot flatter, and a large part of that is because we have a free camera now instead of a fixed one. And then there's the UI. The first game is so much better, hands down. Let me show you. Looking at the screen now, just look. The way the menu folds out like origami when you open it for the first time. The battle transition, the colors they use, the first game is just so much better with its UI. And now here's Second Light, and it's similar, but it's pared back significantly. It shows way too much white. The white primary is blinding as heck, and not at all interesting to look at. While the first game is vastly superior in this category, I will give Second Light two things: the facial expressions and the style of eyes. Characters are much more wonderfully expressive and show a great range of emotions. And if you take a close up look at the eyes, they're less realistic and more stylized, and admittedly, they're aesthetically pleasing. I love the eyes in Second Light. They're just so beautiful. And so we've reached the conclusion point. This kind of went by pretty fast. I was pretty quick in this video. But on the games, in my personal experience, both games are really fun to play and have meaningful stories worth experiencing. I would rate Blue Reflection a 7 out of 10 and Second Light an 8 out of 10. But to be honest, are they worth playing? Even if you are a fan of Japanese turn-based games and stories, I won't lie. These games are painfully slow. They both have a very slow pace and mostly stick to it throughout. It takes a long while for things to ramp up. Not to mention that the dialogue can turn your eyes and brain a little glazy, especially when marathoning. And resource gathering and dates can even become tedious fairly quickly. There's just so much of it. So, to be honest, are the Blue Reflection games worth playing? I want to say yes. I really do, but I truly am mixed on this. It's really hard to say, so I'll put it like this. If you love memorable stories and strong characters, and have a lot of patience, yes, Blue Reflection is very much worth playing. Both are very, very underrated gems. And if you're still unsure, I believe there's a demo on PlayStation for the first or second game that you could always give a try. Or if you want, you can buy it on Steam, give it a try, and if you don't like it within 2 hours, refund it. It's very slow paced and the gameplay can be tedious, and if those are really bad downsides for you, then yeah, these games really aren't for you, and honestly that's okay. At least you gave it a shot. Anyways, this video has gone on pretty I feel like I've said this 3 times now, but yeah, I've been pretty quick, but I've gone on and on for a little bit. And I'm sorry, but I'm not quite done yet. Please just give me a few more minutes. We still have to talk about the upcoming remaster, Blue Reflection Quartet. This packaged remaster includes both the first game and the second game, a game version of the anime, Blue Reflection Ray, and a reworked mobile game, Blue Reflection Sun. I've talked plenty about the first two, but let me speak on the latter half. So I watched Blue Reflection Ray like a year or 2 years after I finished Second Light. I didn't even know the anime existed, to be honest, and quite frankly, it's a very, very mid anime. The pacing is somehow even worse than the games. It's incredibly slow. The action sequences are not really worth watching, but underneath it all, the story and the characters are pretty good. And it does serve as a lead up to Second Light. It is, I wouldn't say it's crucial, but it really helps to watch Ray, or at least read about Ray before going into Second Light, because otherwise you're going to be very confused about how things happen and where we are in the story. I wouldn't really recommend watching it, but I am curious as to how they'll tell the story in game form. Hopefully they fix that pacing. And then there's Blue Reflection Sun, the mobile gacha game, which features a boring, self-insert harem male protagonist who the girls are dependent on. They seriously turn the girls who are fairly capable and independent into codependent and we're very much reliant on this guy who can. Oh my God, he has the ability to, what was it? Peek into their hearts and fix them or something like that. I don't freaking know. I read up a little bit on the story and how the game ends, and it sucks. I don't want to delve into it, but as a part of this remaster, they're adding characters from Sun into Second Light. So, as much as I don't want to, I think I have to play Sun just so I can have more context as to who these characters are. I'm really not looking forward to it. And one last bit of Quartet I'll be talking about is the censorship. Personally, I don't like or support censorship, and Koei Tecmo recently has been pretty bad with it. And I just don't get it. Like, if the original version already has stuff, just keep it in the remaster. I don't get it. It's stupid. But aside from covering the girls up more, I read from, I think, an interview that they are removing a part of the relationship system in Second Light, where your choices will sometimes reward you with relationship points or a fragment. I don't quite remember. It's been a while since I played Second Light, but I heard that they were taking that part out. If they are, I'm not 100% sure, but if they are, then that seriously sucks. That's so unrewarding for the relationships. Oh, and newsflash, most of the DLC for both games will not be making returns, so big levels like the Atelier Ryza Island, which is a huge DLC, it adds a fair amount of content, including a little mini story. It's just not going to be there. It's going to be absent. Honestly, with all of that, I don't know if anyone, including fans who have played the first two games, should buy Blue Reflection Quartet, especially at full price. I unfortunately did pull the trigger on the premium Japanese version because I really do like the series. I love Yuri, and the story was great. The characters were memorable, and the goods that they include in the collector's edition are really good. Art-wise, I really do like it, but yeah, I know I'm gonna kick myself over. But yeah, I really don't know, guys. And I don't think I'll make a follow-up video on Quartet, but if you really want to give the series a try and don't want to support censorship, buy the original two while you still can. When Atelier Ryza DX got released, the original versions got removed shortly after, and I imagine Koei Tecmo is going to do the same for this series, so I really should have made this video sooner. I planned on making this like 20 days ago, but I procrastinated, and yeah, this is my penance. I wasted money on a collector's edition, and I can't make a video in time. That's my curse, I guess. And one last thing, I swear, this is the very, very last thing. Swear to God. But I am a huge fan of PlayStation. I've been a fan since the PS4, and now I own a PS3, a Vita TV, and PS5 Pro. And more than anything, I love collecting physical games. But with Sony's recent announcement about discontinuing that, I honestly can no longer support PlayStation. I'll still play it, I'll still play on it, but I canceled my PS Plus, and I have not bought a single digital thing, even DLC for games that I own. I have not bought a single thing ever since the announcement. And I felt like I need to talk about this because it's an important subject that should be discussed. And another reason why is because the original Blue Reflection physical copies are hard to find now. You'll find them like way overpriced on third-party sites like eBay and stuff. And with how Sony is right now, if you really want to buy Quartet, I recommend avoiding the PlayStation version entirely and just buying it on Steam. Steam is digital only, I know, but if the internet goes out, you can still play it if you downloaded it. And for the most part, you own it. If you have a GOG version, you definitely own it 100%. Steam's a little different, I know, but you know what I'm saying. And what makes a console so great is that there are physical games to collect and put in. And for older consoles like the Xbox 360, it improved load times and performance. It just sucks, you know? I love physical games, and I just wish Sony didn't make this decision. Like, make it in 2050 or something, but not in 2026. Anyways, there's also a boycott happening, I believe on August 23rd. I believe like it's a 1-week boycott. I'll be participating in that. I hope others do too. And yeah, hopefully Sony can reverse this decision. Anyway, that is the end of this To Be Honest video. It really has been a long time. Way too long, and I'm not fully back. I want to be, but I'm not. But it feels good to be a little bit back, and hopefully I can continue to make time and make more videos. Yeah, I hope to be back in full someday. But for now, please expect the next video sometime between a month and 2 years. I'll see you all again soon, and screw Sony.